You're working harder than ever, but your revenue has completely flatlined. You feel like you're slamming into a wall, and no matter what you try, you just can't break through to the next level. You're putting in 60-hour weeks, you're optimizing everything, and you're pushing your team, but the needle just isn't moving. The spreadsheets tell the exact same story. Month after month, that feeling of being stuck isn't just frustrating. It's a sign that the very strategies that got you here won't get you there. This is what a business plateau feels like. And it's not a sign that you failed. Actually, it's the opposite. It's the sign that you've outgrown the systems, strategies, and even the mindset that fueled your initial success. What was once a clear path forward now feels like a maze, and the effort you're putting in just doesn't match the results. This is where frustration curdles into blowout, where passion turns into pressure, and where so many entrepreneurs start to question everything. But what if that wall that you're hitting isn't a barrier, but an inflection point? What if this plateau is actually a forced pause, giving you a chance for a fundamental shift in your strategy and your thinking? Hitting a growth plateau doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you graduated to a new level of challenge that demands a new level of thinking. It means that it's time to stop trying to add more lanes to a congested highway and start to redesign the entire traffic system from the ground up. I'm going to share the Growth Mindset Matrix, a step-by-step system designed to shatter that plateau and to unlock the next stage of your business growth. This isn't a generic advice, work smarter, not harder, or another list of marketing hacks. This is a core framework for rewriting how you as a leader approach problems and growth itself. We're going to walk through the 4 quadrants of this matrix, combining real psychology with actionable business strategy. By the end, you won't just have a plan to break your current revenue ceiling, you'll have a new operating system for continuous growth. So, before we get to the matrix, we have to talk about the invisible force that's keeping most businesses stuck. It's a concept from the work of Stanford psychologist Carol DeWick, and it's called the fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is the quiet belief that your talents, your intelligence, and your capabilities are set in stone. When you're operating from a fixed mindset, you see challenges as threats, feedback as personal criticism, and failure as a final verdict on your ability. Sound familiar? When your business hits a plateau, the fixed mindset is that voice in your head that says, maybe this is as good as it gets. It's the voice that makes you avoid big risks because you're terrified of looking incompetent. It's the voice that blames everything else, the markets, the competition, the economy, because it's too painful to admit that your own strategies might be the problem. Leaders with the fixed mindset often care more about looking smart than they do about actually getting smarter. This mindset creates a toxic environment for growth. In companies run this way, employees report more cheating and deception as people scramble to get ahead. Innovation dies because no one is willing to take a risk and fail. The business becomes a perfect reflection of its leader and its leader's own limitations. Your desire to be the smartest person in the room stops you from learning. Your fear of failure stops you from experimenting, and your need for approval stops you from making the hard, unpopular decisions that breakthrough requires. The plateau isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. It's a symptom of a fixed mindset hitting its absolute limit. You've optimized your existing model to perfection, but the model itself is now the cage. The truth is, you can't solve a new level problem with old level thinking. To break a plateau, you have to believe at your core that you are capable of learning, adapting, and fundamentally changing your approach. You need a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities can be developed through hard work, smart strategies, and feedback from others. It's knowing that failure isn't a verdict, it's just data. It's believing challenges aren't threats, they are opportunities to get better. This isn't just fluffy positive thinking, it's a strategic imperative. The mindset is the engine of all resilience and innovation. The growth mindset matrix is the blueprint for installing it into the DNA of your business. The first quadrant of the matrix is the architect. This is the foundation. An architect doesn't start by picking out furniture. They design a solid blueprint. That foundation is our belief system. This quadrant is all about redesigning your internal world so that you can handle the external pressures of growth. And it rests on three pillars: embracing challenges, prioritizing learning over approval, and celebrating effort. First, let's talk about embracing challenges. Entrepreneurs with the growth mindset see challenges not as threats but as the main event. In one of Kerouac's studies, a young student, when faced with a hard problem, literally said, "I love challenges," because he saw it as a fun puzzle, not as a test of his worth. And that's the shift. When a new competitor enters the market, the fixed mindset screams, "This is a threat." And the architect mindset says, "Okay, what can we learn from them? What are they seeing that we're missing? And how can this push us to get even better?" Think of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She started with just $5,000 and knew nothing about business, fashion, or retail. She faced rejection after rejection. A fixed mindset would have taken those rejections as proof that the idea was bad or that she wasn't cut out to do this. But Blakely, operating as an architect, saw every no as feedback. She used it to refine her pitch and improve her product. She embraced the challenges of being an outsider and used it to her advantage, eventually building a billion-dollar brand. The current Plateau is your challenge. The architect reframes it from a sign of my limit to the puzzle that will teach me what I need for the next level. The second pillar is prioritizing learning over approval. Leaders with a fixed mindset are desperate to look smart and avoid judgment. This makes them hide their mistakes and never ask for help. Now finally, the third pillar, celebrate effort and progress, not just the wins. Leaders with a fixed mindset are desperate to look smart and avoid judgment. This makes them hide their mistakes and never ask for help. But the architect, the growth-minded leader, prioritizes what they can learn over whether a situation makes them look good. Actively seek through the tough construction feedback because they know it's the fastest way to get better. Criticism is going to happen in business. Your superpower is learning how to sift through the noise and find the useful nugget. A powerful way to do this is to reframe failure as your best teacher. When a product launch fails, don't bury the results. Hold a post-mortem with your team where the goal isn't to assign blame, but to extract lessons. Ask, what did we think would happen? What actually happened? And what did we learn from the gap? And how do we use that on our next attempt? This brings to mind the famous story of Thomas Edison, who made thousands of non-working prototypes of the light bulb. He reportedly said something along the lines of, "I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work." He was prioritizing learning over the easy approval he would have gotten by quitting. Finally, the third pillar, celebrate effort and progress, not just the wins. In a fixed mindset culture, only the stars with obvious talent get praised. This creates anxiety for everyone else. The architect, however, knows that great outcomes come from a great process, so they reward the process. The hard work, the new strategies, the resilience after a setback. When you praise an employee, don't just say great job on hitting the target, try this. I was so impressed with your persistence on that difficult client and how you tried that new closing technique we talked about. The effort is what's got you this win. This simple shift reinforces the idea that abilities can be developed, which encourages everyone to improve. To achieve the architect quadrant, you want to identify the single biggest challenge your business is facing. You write it down. Now reframe it as a question that starts with, how can this challenge help us learn? Schedule a meeting this week with a mentor that you trust. Go in with one goal, to get brutally honest feedback on where you're bottlenecking in your business. Next team meeting, share a recent mistake that you made and what you learned from it. This models the vulnerability that a learning culture requires. Building this architect foundation is non-negotiable. It's the only way you'll have the mental game to handle the next quadrant. Once your architect foundation is in place, you're ready for quadrant 2, the scientist. If the architect is about your internal world of belief, the scientist is about how you interact with the external world of your business. The scientist doesn't run on assumptions or gut feelings. A scientist forms a hypothesis, runs an experiment, analyzes the data, and uses the results to decide what to do next. This quadrant is about systematically de-risking growth by turning your business into a laboratory. It's built on 2 principles: cultivating curiosity and using the framework as a starting point. The first principle is cultivating relentless curiosity. This means you have to make learning a daily habit. Read widely, both in and out of your industry, and constantly ask what if and why. An innovation plateau is often just a curiosity plateau. It's a sign a company has stopped exploring and is only focused on teeny improvements to what they already have, what they already do. Even listening to your customers can be a trap. If Henry Ford had asked his customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. Real innovation comes from a curiosity that anticipates needs customers don't even know they have. Think about it. Toni Cole, the founder of NYK Cosmetics, she started her company at 25 with zero experience in manufacturing or global distribution. A fixed mindset would say, I'm not qualified, but her scientist mindset, fueled by curiosity, said, I'll figure it out. She built her multi-million-dollar brand through constant trial, learning, and problem solving. Her journey proves that you don't need all the answers to start. You just need the curiosity to find them. This curiosity has to be part of your company's system. Encourage your team to share ideas and explore new skills. Maybe you start a weekly learning huddle or create a budget for professional development. Companies that foster a culture of feedback and curiosity simply move faster and adapt better. The second most critical principle of the scientist is treating failure as a data point. This is where the architect's belief in learning from failure gets real. Every business action, a new marketing campaign, a product feature, or pricing change should be treated as an experiment. Here's how it works. Before you launch something, you state your hypothesis. We believe that by changing our headline to focus on this benefit, we will increase our click-through rate by 15%. Then you run a small, cheap test. The result isn't success or failure, it's data. If you get a 20% increase, the data validates your hypothesis. If you only get a 2% increase, the data has revealed an amazing insight. Your assumption about what the customers wanted was wrong. That insight is far more valuable than the small cost of the test. You then use that learning to form your next hypothesis. This is how you accelerate innovation. Elon Musk's journey with SpaceX is a master class in this. The early rocket launchers were spectacular, very public failures. For a fixed mindset leader, that would have been humiliating, paralyzing. But Musk and scientists, each exploration was just a rich source of data. He and his team analyzed what went wrong, learned, adapted, and tried again. His willingness to embrace this cycle of experimentation is why SpaceX can now land rockets on teeny barges in the middle of the ocean, a feat once considered to be impossible. To activate the scientist quadrant in your business, identify one big assumption you're making about your customers. For example, we assume our customers choose us on price. Now, design a small, cheap experiment that tests that. Can you survey 20 customers? Can you test a higher priced offer with a small group? Implement a strategic experimentation framework for any new idea. Have the team define the hypothesis, the success matrix, the budget, and the point where you will either scale it, pivot, or kill it. Start tracking Decision quality. How often does your team make a good database decision without needing you? This is a key sign to you that you're building a true learning organization. When you operate as a scientist, you're no longer gambling with your business's future, you're systematically discovering it. We've just covered the first two quadrants of the growth mindset matrix, the architect and the scientist. If this is already starting to click for you, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell. Still got two more quadrants to go that will turn these mindsets into real tangible growth for your business. Here we go. We're back into the connector quadrant. The connector focuses on intentionally designing and nurturing your network of people, your team, your mentors, your peers, and your partners. A business plateau is often just a sign that your personal leadership bandwidth is maxed out. The only way to expand it is through others. The first pillar here is to surround yourself with growth-minded people. Your mindset is contagious. It rubs off on people, and theirs rubs off on you. If you surround yourself with people with a fixed mindset who complain and avoid challenges, it will be almost impossible to maintain your own growth. You have to curate your environment. This means seeking out mentors who have already smashed through the exact plateau that you're facing. It means joining mastermind groups with other ambitious entrepreneurs who will challenge your thinking and hold you accountable. This isn't about feeling inspired. It's about practical shortcuts. Tap into the wisdom of others. When you're stuck, chances are someone in your network has already solved a similar problem. A 15-minute phone call with the right person can save you 6 months of banging your head against the wall. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel in isolation. The most successful entrepreneurs aren't lone geniuses. They are master connectors who know how to access the collective intelligence of their network. The second pillar is about building a growth-minded team. As your business grows, your job shifts from being the main doer to being the main leader and teacher. Your biggest bottleneck is often in your own reluctance to delegate and trust your team. So many entrepreneurs hit a plateau because they're still trying to wear every single hat. You have to make the shift from player to coach. This starts with hiring. When you interview, don't just look at a resume, look at that attitude. Hire people who love challenges, enjoy collaboration, and have a history of learning new skills. Ask questions like, tell me about a time that you failed a project. What did you do next and how did you learn? Or describe a skill that you taught yourself in the last year. Their answers will tell you everything you need to know about their mindset. Once you have the right people, your job is to create an environment where they can actually grow. Leaders who build a growth mindset in their teams create a culture of continuous improvement and innovation. This means empowering your team to take small risks. It means rewarding people for useful lessons learned, even if the project didn't hit its original goal. When you inspire a growth mindset in your team, they feel more empowered, committed, and are way more likely to innovate. Your company's capacity to grow becomes the sum of everyone's growth, not just your own. The goal is to distribute leadership so that you are no longer the single point of failure. To activate the connector quadrant, make a list of 5 people you spend the most time with professionally. Are they lifting you up or holding you back? Identify one new person or group you can connect with this month and evaluate your circle. Look at the new hiring process. Add 2 questions specifically designed to screen for a growth mindset. Choose one area where you are currently the bottleneck. Identify the team member you can start training to take over that responsibility. Create a 30-day plan to delegate the tasks and, more importantly, the decision making. Your business will only grow to the limit of your own capacity. The connector shatters that limit by turning your solo mission into a collective one. Okay, here's quadrant 4 of the matrix. We've built our foundation with the architect. We're running experiments with the scientists, and we're leveraging our network with the connector. The final piece of the puzzle is Quadrant 4, the Futurist. This quadrant is about lifting your head up from the daily grind and looking at the horizon. A business plateau often happens because the market shifts, technology evolves, or customers changed, and the business just didn't see it coming. The Futurist is all about staying ready for what's next and building a culture that innovates proactively. The first pillar of the Futurist is staying adaptable. The business world is always in flux. What works today could be totally obsolete tomorrow. A fixed mindset resists change and clings to what's familiar. A growth mindset welcomes it as an opportunity. This means you have to be constantly reevaluating your strategy. A SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, isn't a one and done thing you did for your business plan. It's something you should be doing regularly to see what's changing around you. The adaptability is what allows you to pivot. Look at Reshama Sharjana. She lost her first political campaign and a very public failure. Instead of giving up, she pivoted. She noticed the huge gender gap in the tech world and founded Girls Who Code, a nonprofit that has had a monumental impact. Her journey is a masterclass of adapting to the setbacks and finding an even bigger opportunity. The Futurist asks, is our current model still the best way to deliver value? Or is there a new way emerging that we could pioneer? The second pillar is building your next growth engine before you need it. The biggest breakthroughs happen when companies develop new sources of revenue while their current ones are still humming along. This could mean exploring adjacent markets or new customer segments. It might mean innovating your business model, like shifting from one-off projects to a reoccurring subscription. It could mean leveraging new techs like AI to completely change how you deliver your service. This isn't about chasing every shiny object. It's about strategic exploration that's grounded in what you're already great at. Ask yourself, what are we uniquely good at? And who else in a totally different market might value that skill? For example, a marketing agency that's amazing at creating content for software companies might test that same skill set in the healthcare tech industry. By starting this as a series of small scientist experiments, you lower the risk while creating options for your next big move. Companies with the growth mindset are far more likely to support the kind of risk-taking needed to find these new growth engines. To activate the Futurist quadrant, schedule a Future of the Business with your team every quarter. The only rule is not talking about day-to-day operations. The entire focus on the trends, new tech, and future opportunities. Identify one next growth engine experiment. What's the new market or new service you could test with minimal investment over the next 90 days? Define the experiment and get it going. Commit to learning about one emerging trend or technology outside of your industry each month. This cross-pollination of ideas is where real innovation is born. The Futurist ensures that breaking your current plateau isn't just a one-time event. It turns growth into a continuous, proactive process, making your business ready for whatever comes next. And that's the Growth Mindset Matrix. It's a 4-part system for engineering your own breakthrough. You start by becoming the architect, rebuilding your core beliefs to embrace challenges and truly learn from your journey. Then you become the scientist, turning your business into a lab where every action is an experiment and every failure is just data pointing you toward the truth. Next, you'll step into the role of the connector, realizing that growth is a team sport and surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, mentors, peers, and a team you're committed to developing. And finally, you become the futurist, looking to the horizon, anticipating change, and building your next big thing before your current one runs out of gas. A plateau is tough, but it's not your final destination. It's a transition point. It's a signal that the mindset that brought you this far has served its purpose. Breaking through requires more than just tactic. It requires a new identity. It requires you to believe deep down that both you and your business are capable of evolving. This journey from a fixed to a growth mindset isn't easy. It's hard work. You'll have triggers, criticisms, setbacks, failures, and things that tempt you to fall back into defensiveness and fear. But your job is to recognize those triggers and consciously choose a growth response. Choose the lesson. Choose the experiment. Choose to ask for help. And choose to look to the future. This is how you turn a wall into a doorway. And this is how you transform revenue ceiling into your new floor. The path to renewed growth starts with you, and it starts here today. And I put together a free one-page growth mindset matrix worksheet that sums up these 4 quadrants and gives you a set of prompts to diagnose your own business and start making changes immediately. The link is in the description below. Download it and use it and start your breakthrough. And now, I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me which of the 4 quadrants, the architect, the scientist, the connector, or the futurist resonated with you the most. And what's the one action you're going to take this week because of it? I read every single comment and I would love to jump into the conversation with you. Thanks for watching. Now go out there and build something extraordinary. Keep striving and keep growing.